done. 12:39.
Well, in the midst of us discussing KKR's near win against LSG, the near loss or near close shave, let's say, we had a little bit of a breaking news update that Manchester City have been crowned Premier League champions thanks to Arsenal doing what they do best, and that is bottle it when the pressure is really on. How do you lose to Nottingham Forest?
Only Arsenal fans can answer that.
Nottingham Forest?
I remember that visual very well. It was last week when Pep Guardiola signaled to the fans that they just need 2 wins and the job's done.
Well, they needed 1.
Arsenal lost last weekend, making it 1 win. Now City don't even need that 1 win because they've lost again. Of the last 5 Premier League matches, Arsenal have lost 3 of them.
Right. It's
3
not
of
a good
them,
run.
and this is a club many of us thought would probably be competing for the title, and now suddenly they've just surrendered. They surrendered in a way that you don't expect somebody who is in the running for the title to do. Yes, of course, you got derailed, you were deflated after that City defeat, but it's just a mere surrender, I would say, that we've seen from Arsenal now. They've especially, and like Anurag, our dear colleague, was also pointing out, they just gave in. They just didn't given the fight after that, and you don't deserve to be champions, let's say, if you, and they had just one competition, and yeah, this is what Anurag was saying exactly, that they had just one competition to focus on, which by the way tells you a lot more about this City side and the squad depth that they enjoy. But Arsenal had just one thing to focus on. Okay, you lost to Manchester City. They're easily the best team in the land right now.
Fair enough.
But you can't be losing to Nottingham Forest. You can't be giving away games like that.
You can't be losing 3-0 to Brighton. No disrespect to Brighton either. But see, that's the thing. We don't expect it from a team that are pursuing the title. I do expect it from Arsenal. And that's not even me trolling. It's just been their history in recent times. They've won the occasional cup competition, but even then, when the pressure really is up on them, they tend to crumble like no club I've seen. Case in point, and this is just going back in very recent memory.
15?
Their first season, no, not even 15. Yeah, 15 was 1. 14, 15, of course, that year, Tottenham gave them company by finishing 3rd in a 2-horse race. So that was even worse. But more recent memory, the first season after Wenger had retired, 2018-19, Unai Emery was in charge. They made it to the finals of the Europa League against the Chelsea side, who again that year were a bit disheveled. There was a lot of discomfort in the dressing in the stands. Fans are now happy with the kind of football that Maurizio Sarri was trying to play, but results picked up. And let me just remind you that before that Europa League, both Chelsea and Arsenal were struggling to finish top 4. But because Chelsea's form picked up, they ended up finishing 3rd. And then it was just a case of win the Europa League as a trophy. For Arsenal, they needed to win that Europa League to make it.
Yes.
They'd make it. And what happens? They lose 3-1. The pressure gets to them like no other club. And I get that was a very different lot of players, this, that. But okay, the title of this video, I have titled it, is this the meekest surrender by any team in recent history? The only other one that comes to mind is Liverpool in 12-13. In 13-14, sorry.
13-14, yeah.
13-14, Liverpool, again. Sorry, that was one club that again, in fact, I think there's a lot of parallels to be drawn between that Liverpool and this Arsenal. Why? Unexpected title run, propped up by a lot of young players. Again, if you remember, there was only really 2 experienced players in that team, and that was Steven Gerrard and Luis Suarez.
Yeah.
Otherwise, who were the standard performers? Daniel Sturridge, Raheem Sterling, a young Raheem Sterling. These
was
were
very young then.
Yes, Philippe Coutinho, again, very young. It was a bunch of youngsters who were kind of defying the odds. What happened? A key pressure game, all they had to do was beat Chelsea, and they would have been pretty much champions-elect. What do? They lose 2-0. Then after that, the week after, they go on to surrender a 3-0 lead against Crystal Palace and draw 3-3.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the other one which in recent memory I remember as one team just rolling over and saying that, look, we came this far. That was an overachievement for us.
Yeah. What this actually, what this does is for Arsenal and for Arsenal fans, I would say, this just makes it look like they've overachieved this season. That second finish is also something of an overachievement, because what I would have liked to see from somebody, or rather a side that spent 93% of the season right up top. 93% of the season they were in the number one position. For a team that was that enjoyed being up top for that long a period, for their campaign to end this way, hurts the fans much more. And this is what I would say makes it look like finishing second is a bit of an overachievement for the club. And the way they've surrendered, well, that's the way it's made to look now. Also, when you look at the nature of these losses, you don't expect them to be losing 3-0 against Brighton. No disrespect to Brighton over there.
You still don't expect
they are very good side at the moment, a very good manager despite all the manager. Look at Brighton, let's say, for example. And what do Arsenal end with now? They end with the second position. Yes, there are talks about a 200 million pool being there for them in the budget, in the transfer season.
Yeah.
But having said that, ending the campaign, what I would have liked to see from a team that's 93% of the time at the number one position was a fight till the very end. A fight till the very end, as that would be
what Liverpool did last year.
That would be testament. That would exactly. They lost by just 1 point
on the final game day.
They didn't give in. With Arsenal, they've not just given in. They made everyone around who believed that they could go ahead and win the title look like fools over here. They've not done justice to all the time that they spent right up top.
Yeah.
They've surrendered in a way that just makes it look like I said, they've overachieved by finishing second, and that's all that they wanted. Okay, they knew they probably weren't going to finish top, and okay, but then you're supposed to be telling, sending across a message not just to the Premier League leaders, but to the entire Premier League as well, that this is a team that knows how to fight till the very end.
But
that opportunity lost. That opportunity, rather, I would say, torn into smithereens, I would say.
And what's really concerning is that this year, again, I think there's two things you have to really consider. One is the fact that Arsenal, not only did they end up overachieving, but in hindsight, now we can say this, they were aided significantly by the fact that the two closest contenders last year, that were Liverpool and Chelsea, ended up having spectacular implosions for two very different reasons. With Chelsea was the change in ownership, the overspending, the managerial chaos, all of that came into play. With Liverpool, it was the fact that they realized finally that they have no midfield. So it was getting run over one game after the other. So both of them declined. Arsenal were the team best positioned to take that slot as challengers. And credit to them, if you go over the first half or even the first 75% of the season, they were doing an admirable job. But implosion of a spectacular manner, and you actually, if you ask me, you've lost your best chance at winning the league for a while. Because I don't care if you have that 200 million to spend, the other clubs are not going to stand stagnant.
Exactly. Look at the way Liverpool are ending their season. Yes, they drew today, but then they had some serious form as well. They do rather have some serious form. You're looking at, Newcastle pushing much more next year. They'll also have the money, let's not forget. By the way, they don't have that star-studded team right now, and even
but
then...
they're overachieving significantly.
Exactly. Even then, they've consolidated their place in the top 4, rather they're finishing third as things stand. Manchester United, will be out there. They would want to be finishing much better than they will probably finish, let's say, if that is the 4th position. So, other clubs are then also going to be there. And for Arsenal, they won't, like Shane said, they won't have this kind of a foundation. 93% of the time you were there,
it's just not look. Again, you're talking about, the clubs are already in the top 4. Newcastle, they can invest more. Yeah. They haven't invested as much as they can, considering the fact that they're owned by the Saudi PIF, or the Public Investment Fund. Manchester United, are not going to stand still in the transfer window either. Yes, they'll need to get a few players out, but if they're able to do that, they get in significant money, get in 3-4 more players, suddenly they look a threat. Liverpool, note for a fact there's been plenty of talk about a new project.
They are already, by the way, their new project is already in the works. There are now, talks about McAllister, also the Brighton midfielder.
McAllister is being linked to them. Mason Mount is being linked to them. Ryan Gravenberch is being linked to them. So players are being linked. And not just that, don't forget, people are forgetting, and I know that I have a huge amount of bias here, but Chelsea don't really need to sign too many players. You need to do the opposite. You need to get in a permanent manager and get a few players out.
Yeah.
Do that. Get in maybe a striker and a goalkeeper.
Yeah,
with a
I
competent
think
manager.
signings again. Chelsea may not go into the market wanting to,
Not quantity. You're looking for
exactly,
quality at this
exactly. You
point.
probably just need 1, 2 players at max because
Goalkeeper?
I think the investment's already done.
Yes, you need a goalkeeper and you need a striker.
Yeah.
Maybe, or a forward, let's say. You need a proper forward, someone
Proper
who can lead the
forward,
line. That's two areas which are immediate because otherwise at centre back you have options, midfield you have options, and on the wings you have way too many options. You're gonna see a clear out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. All you need is a competent manager. And that's it. Suddenly, out of nowhere, this team bounces back. And lest I remind you, a lot of people have been trolling me and trolling Chelsea. This is the same club, by the way, who, when the same thing happened in 2015-16, bounced back next year to win the league. I'm not saying we'll win the league, but don't count any club out. They've already done the investment. You just need a manager. Tottenham are not going to stand still.
And
There's so much going on.
And coming back to Arsenal, let's say, when they look at this season now, this whole week, rather these last 5 to 7 weeks will now it'll make the season look like more of a disappointment.
A failure.
A failure.
I know it's a harsh word.
It is.
But it's a failure.
When you see from what happened or where they finished last year, yes, it is an improvement. But from the position, and this is where it comes down to mentality. You were talking a lot about mentality. Let's say when we were.
Why was it that I used to say City are favourites? Because they have that winning mentality. Arsenal didn't.
They see City now when it comes to the Premier League, they have that winning mentality, and even in crunch situations they are dogged.
Yeah, they are.
They're very, very dogged and a clear reflection of that was the final game week of last year. They were 2-0 down at home, but like Pep Guardiola said the other day as well when they were facing Real Madrid, we're much more comfortable playing in front of a home crowd. That is what gives us confidence, and look what they did.
Exactly.
Back then as well, Aston 2-0 down, playing in front of home fans, they had the belief that they will turn it around. But then with Arsenal, they lacked that mentality, and it showed right towards the end.
I think if you're talking about them investing, they need experience. Because right now the squad is too young. There's not enough winners. They need experienced players. But even if you get in those experienced players, what's to say? And when you're talking about the perspective and why I dubbed this city or this season a failure for them, this has been their best season for years.
Yeah.
Fluid football, topping the league, dreaming of winning it. What do you end it with? To quote Jose Mourinho of his Inter Milan days, you end it with 0 titoli, which means 0 titles. This has been Chelsea's worst season since 1996-97 because it's the first time since that year that Chelsea finished outside the top 10. No trophies, manager situation in chaos, too many players. How many titles did we get? Again, 0 titoli. So, Arsenal's best season and Chelsea's worst season, when looked at on paper, are exactly the same. So, really, what have you achieved? A one season flash in the pan? I don't think that's good enough. Sorry. And again, I know maybe I'm being premature by calling it that, but I'm saying it for a reason. The Premier League clubs don't stand still, boss. When you have that chance to strike, if you don't make God bleed, it's never going to work. They had the chance of making City look mortal. What did they do? Didn't take it.
Chalo, with that...
I think we've agreed on one consensus that Arsenal have a season to both remember and also forget. Because season of contrast, sure, but yeah, I think what promised so much...
Season of two halves, one can say.
Yeah, pre-World Cup and then end of, because pre-World Cup they were flying.
Yeah.
And City, by the way, looked out of sync.
City at one point were good 8 points behind them, let's not forget.
And now to finish this title or to seal the title with 2 games.
With 2 games in hand.
That's the thing. Yeah. How do you go from 8 points behind to actually make it from 8 points to 2, to seal it with 2 means you have a 7-point lead. Which means you've made up 15 points. 15 points. That doesn't happen without one team severely losing the plot.
Yeah.
Credit to City, taking nothing away from them.
Yeah.
But we all knew crunch situations, Arsenal unfortunately would wound up doing this, and that's exactly what they did. So that's it from us. I think we will take our leave for now, but we really appreciate the fact that all of you guys were joining us constantly. We could see, we really love that, and we hope rather you keep joining us like this, because even tomorrow we're doing a few videos here or there on this sport. Yes, we know big IPL game day coming up, but we're sport fans. We love all sports. So thank you from me and Harshad. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap the bell, leave us a comment, follow us on all socials, download the SportsTech app. But for now, good night and goodbye.